Who's my father? We're poor than poor. Life like in the West End in Glasgow, Scotland. You know, some of the best is my life. Hello and welcome into another stream here on the Movie Burner Entertainment channel. I don't do intros a huge amount. Stephen usually does the intros. That's a deliberate piss take there, I have to stress. This is the Friday show, Stephen. Still not got a name for it. Been doing this for a long time now. I want to say a month and a half. Still not come up with a title. We went live prior, about 5 minutes ago.
One job.
We went live about 5 minutes ago. I did the whole intro. I thought that was a fucking car crash. This is worse. I was muted the last time. That was probably for the best. But Stephen, it's a little bit free-flowing. It's a little bit spontaneous, this stream, this sort of show that we do on the Friday. It's not as rigid. We have got a couple of topics we're going to delve into, but we like to keep it free-flowing and keep each other on our toes, you know. By the way, my name's John, if you didn't see that down there. John C. Walsh, and that's Stephen John McLaughlin. Can't do the secret hand thing anymore because we're in different rooms now. Fucking shite. Yeah. But
it's genuine.
It is genuine. I'm going to just make sure that the intro doesn't come back on again. Not that we have to worry about it because we're not leaving this scene in OBS. Well, we will be. We may be going to the browser. We'll see how adventurous I want to get in this stream here. But we're going to discuss, Stephen, first and foremost, Superman. That is a horrendous thumbnail that I put together in about 2 minutes. Fucking dreadful gradient with, obviously, Zack Snyder next to David Cornsvet. Don't know why I came up with James there. And really discussing the success of the trailer that came out about 3 weeks ago, middle of December.
Yeah, just before Christmas,
Yeah, hugely successful trailer. It smashed the record of Henry Cavill's Man of Steel trailer in just under a month. But we're obviously slanting it. Well, I mean, Stephen, I'm saying we're slanting it. I've put, well, I can't remember what I put now. Will They Ever Let It Go or something? And that's kind of directed at the Snyder fans who just have got this perpetual hard-on for Henry Cavill coming back, which is not going to happen. They need to let it fucking go. It's done. It's in the past. Kill it if you have to. And obviously, they're wanting Zack Snyder to come back, which is not going to happen. He's done. He's moved on. He's creating shite sci-fi, Star Wars wannabe movies on Netflix that are getting banned. But it's also directed at the press and the other sort of side of the argument who will never let Henry Cavill go either. They keep going on and putting sort of comparisons in place between the Cornsvet movie, the trailer, Henry Cavill's movie, and I'm sure when this Superman movie comes out this year, because it's 2025, John, you fucking clown shoe, I'm sure when it comes out, there'll be comparisons with box office numbers, the cinema score. So both sides are as bad as each other. They just can't let Henry Cavill and his iteration of Superman go. They're constantly going on about it, comparing it. And we're going to discuss this really. The trailer, the success of the trailer.
You've got to remember as well that, and we can state this right now, in terms of Man of Steel, it's one of our favourite comic book films ever made. And it is, and we wanted a sequel. So it's not like we're coming into this as anti-Snyder fans or anything like that. And we're certainly not Henry Cavill, anti-Henry Cavill, I should say. We've done discussions on. We've done discussions till we're sort of blue in the face, talking about the Man of Steel and Warner Brothers' handling of the Man of Steel phase, if you like. You know, a character like Superman needs to hit the ground running, needs momentum and all that shite. And we've defended it, you know, but since this trailer's dropped, it's starting to really irritate me because, as you know, I'm on quite a lot of Facebook groups and stuff like that. And I like to argue with people, you know, particularly the Beatles ones. And I'm in quite a few of the comic book ones because I like to know what people think. I like to know what people's thoughts are on certain trailers. And because I've been in a couple of the sort of Snyder ones, you're seeing it from their sort of warped perspective, if you like, in terms of they don't like the suit. What's this dog doing here?
It's crypto.
Why is he wearing trunks? Diaper Man, they're calling him. And they genuinely don't like David Corensvet either. They don't like him. And I don't know the guy. I've never seen him in anything. But we did the trailer reaction. I thought it was pretty good. There was a couple of little things I thought they could have maybe have tightened up on. Certainly the CG for the
that'll come.
The suit could have been a little bit better, but I think it looked a little bit baggy. But they'll fix that. They've got time to get in and touch things up and stuff like that.
You can always do the sort of Brie Larson treatment and give him a prosthetic ass and post.
I think a lot of these Snyder fans are talking out their ass, but
Stephen, I mean,
it's so precious, isn't it? Because it's they're criticising a film that's not even come out yet. It's fucking mental.
No, I know, but that's modern fandom. That's modern sort of life and social media and the way that it's infected people and poisoned the whole mindset. You're either with me or you're against me. It's like the whole Sith Jedi Star Wars thing.
Or Marvel and DC.
Yeah, it's crazy. Fucking mental. Yeah. It's just tribalism and steroids, and we've seen this with obviously Musk recently. He's trying to butt his nose into UK politics now. Fucking Berlin maybe should go and butt his nose into South African politics and try and deal with his own country before he starts putting it into our business. And just in life in general, really tribal, and you've got these sort of deeply set fanaticism with certain things, be it Snyderverse, DC, be it Marvel, politics, everything, football. We see that in all walks of life, modern life, and it's gave a sort of magnifying lens with social media because it allows complete non-entities to have an opinion.
I think there's this perception of Corensvet as well, John. His physical stature. A lot of people are misinterpreting how tall this guy is. I think he's about 3 or 4 inches taller than Henry Cavill, and his muscle mass is larger as well. So I don't know where that's coming from, other than judging it on a suit.
To be fair, Steve, hello, Sin, incidentally. I seen your comment there. Welcome in. To be fair, I'll try and bring this up. I don't know if it's going to work. It's a fucking shambles. We're still trying to get a hang of doing live streams with this setup. I will endeavour to bring this up. It will be a car crash. Look at the state of this. Just take the fucking cameras out. Forget about it. Can't be arsed dealing with that just now. I'll sort that out in a moment. You can see there, what you said, I didn't really notice the bagginess of the suit in the trailer. I just noticed him in the fetal position, shouting on his dog, which is like me every other day. I ask my dog to save me on the regular in the snow. Well, I mean, I literally fell on my arse walking my dog in the park 3 days ago, and I was in the fetal position shouting Harley instead of Crypto. And I was asking him to take me home as well with a very soddened arse. S. No, not at all. I'm never afraid to dabble with accents. I'm just far better at the sort of posh English gentleman accent. That's one that I've been working on for an inordinate amount of time, and as a result, I've become really rather good at it. But Stephen, I didn't notice, but you can notice in that actual image just how much slimmer he is than actual Henry Cavill. I mean, he is significantly smaller in terms of mass, maybe in terms of height. Well, I mean, maybe it's an optical illusion. In terms of height, he's probably a lot taller than Henry, and therefore he's sort of packing the muscle in a different way. But he does look a little bit slimmer. But Stephen, getting back to it, I mean, these haters are going to hate at the end of the day. I'm looking at my light. The haters are going to hate. And that's just life now. It's a really, like I say, it's tribal and divisive time to be living, where people just hate for the sake of hating. I had issues with the trailer as well. I'm not keen on Superman relying on his fucking dog to save him. And this is one of the most powerful superheroes in the history of comic books. He shouldn't rely on his dog. His dog should be a nice, fluffy companion who can help him out when he's in a slight rut or a bit of a problem. But he shouldn't be relying on his dog to pull him out of what I presume is the end of a battle or something. He's been in some sort of fight, and he said his ass handed to him. I'm not a huge fan of that. That's kind of weakening and belittling the character right off the bat. It's literally the first fucking shot you see. But I suppose time will tell. The context of that shot will be all important, and I've got supreme
I'm
faith.
pretty sure all this is comic book accurate though, John.
Yeah.
So
I've got faith in James Gunn
in
as
terms
well.
I think as well as a conditioning thing, Sin's actually mentioned, you know, that she's not, she's still salty about what they did to Cavill. Yeah, I mean that's that's a conversation as well to have in terms of the studio's handling of Cavill and Ben Affleck. We might as well throw Ben in there as well, because I think he was treated quite shabbily, and there was a huge potential for really, really good films with that list of cast. I thought Wonder Woman, the first film, was really good. The first Aquaman film was decent as well. And it just kind of went off the rails. I think round about the time Shazam came out, it just totally derailed.
I like Shazam. I like Shazam. It was the other man, wasn't it? Mark Strong.
I think that was just the sort of point. I think that was the point of no return at that stage, you know. And the Wonder Woman 1984 film was just terrible. It was shockingly bad. And so much potential.
That's Gal Gadot, though, isn't it? She's not an actor. Yeah. Let's be honest. I mean, she's not an actor. They relied on Chris Pine.
But going back to the conditioning, John, you've got to bear in mind as well that there was 27-year gap between Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill in terms of live action films. What we're talking, 1987 to 2013 or whatever it is.
You're doing Brandon Routh wrong there, Stephen.
26.
Brandon Routh, did he not?
Well, Brandon Routh was a continuation of Christopher Reeve, really, wasn't he? I don't mean to do any. I thought Brandon was great. I actually don't mind Superman Returns as a isolated film, but it's always going to be connected to the first two Superman films, the Donner one and the Dick Lester one, and it's just the way it is. But in terms of a fresh approach, I think James Gunn is trying that. I think he's trying to do something totally different again. It's somewhere in between Christopher Reeve's incarnation and Henry Cavill's incarnation he seems to be going for. But, I mean, we've only had a teaser at the moment. We've not even had a full trailer. I'll still go and see this film. I'm not going to write it off or anything like that. I do like Superman as a character. He's not my favourite DC character, but I do like him very much. What's that?
Who is your favourite?
It's Batman.
Batman.
You know, I just prefer Batman. But Superman, I grew up with Christopher Reeve's films. Loved them, and I think it was Richard Donner that had the tagline on his first film: "You will believe a man could fly." So in terms of sort of the technical aspects from that 1978 film, I do really appreciate even to this day. And Man of Steel was fantastic. I really loved what they were doing with that. The only issue I probably did have was that I don't think Cavill could separate Clark Kent and Superman in terms of personas. There was not much change in terms of the character on a pair of glasses. And I think that's one of the things that Christopher Reeve was really good at doing.
I mean, that's a problem I think DC have had with Batman as well over the years. I think they've got progressively more simplified the characters. I think Batman's became a simpler beast in terms of cinema anyway. Obviously, Christian Bale is the sort of outlier. I just don't even treat that like a DC. I know it is a DC and it's Batman with the villains, but
it doesn't feel
like Batman. It feels like a Chris Nolan, gritty, realistic movie, and it just so happens to have Batman and Gotham City in it. It doesn't feel like Batman. He's maybe the outlier. But you think of even the most recent, the Batman. I loved the film, but there's barely any Wayne in it. Barely. I mean, he's in scenes, obviously the church scene, the funeral. There's bits and bobs with him, but it just feels like a continuation of Batman. And what always attracted me to Batman, as I've said a million times, is the sort of almost schizophrenic nature of the character. He's not quite Bruce, he's not quite Batman, he's somewhere in between. And you never really get to see the true version of him. And he's grappling with all these different personas. That's what makes it interesting. Even Arrow. For the 2 seasons I watched it, then I get bored.
That's one of the things I love, about Batman is that sort of complex characteristics of him, that he doesn't realise himself that he's very close to being the Joker himself, you know. And, if you take some sort of the hero element of it away, his persona is very similar. He's got different personalities in the way he behaves. But
that's why I love the interview, the sort of interrogation scene between those two in The Dark Knight, because it's true.
Yeah.
You'll see when the chips are down, these people, they'll eat each other. You're not that different from me.
That's true.
That concept, they're playing with it in that film. But Stephen, I don't know what your thoughts are on Gunn in general. I mean, we've discussed this film a lot, but I don't think we've really delved into his style and how it's going to play out with Superman. Because obviously he's got a really distinctive style, a lot of music in there in his previous movies, comic book movies.
His graphics, the font he uses, everything.
It's very light, very.
Yeah.
It's a very, very different tone to Man of Steel, and I think it's even lighter and fluffier again than Christopher Reeve and his interpretation of the character.
Yeah.
I'm worried he's going too far the other way.
Obviously, yeah, if you're comparing it to the 78 film, everything after that was very comedic and light to an extent. Just with, I think, Richard Lester, who directed Hard Day's Night, Dick Lester.
Yeah, he's a great director.
How I Won the War.
He's
got he has a style that has to include humour. It's just the way he is. It's just that's the way he makes films. Most of these films, anyway. And he kind of injected it into Superman 2 and definitely in Superman 3, which he brought Richard Pryor in. It was full-on comedy, which was Robert Vaughn was a villain, and even his take on a villain was quite comedic as well. Pamela Stevenson, Billy Connolly's wife, was in there as well. It was, and that was a kind of tone that started to go. It was starting to get a bit, dare I say it, campy in the sort of Batman Adam West way, to an extent.
The trouble
and
with
I don't
Superman,
think that was Christopher Reeve's fault. Similar to Henry Cavill in 2013 and onwards to the Batman v Superman film. It's not Henry Cavill or Ben Affleck's fault. It's just it was bad writing, and there was just too much politics going on for these films to ever succeed.
There's too much
interference. And I'm glad to draw a line.
Yeah.
In terms of James Gunn, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it. If it is tonally different to what Zack Snyder was doing, I'm fine with that. I don't mind that. If I want to see Zack Snyder's gritty universe, I can watch them. They're there. I really want to see what he does with it. I'm kind of hoping it's not going to be Guardians of the Galaxy tone.
It can't be. It can't
But
be.
I've got a feeling it might be.
That's what I'm saying. I'm concerned that it will be.
That's a concern.
And I love Guardians, but Guardians is for Guardians. That's a sort of ragtag group of wisecracking outcasts, and that's their personality. That's basically, he's taking that verbatim right off the comic book sort of pages. That's what they're like in the comic book. Superman isn't really like that. What you were alluding to, Stephen, you can't be too light with him, but you can't be too dark-eyed. He's a really difficult character to balance. The comedy, I mean, I can understand why they went down that route, because if you go too weighty, I mean, where do you go with him? He's fucking guy that's rebuilding the Great Wall of China with his eyes and stuff like that. He's a supremely powerful
Superman
character.
Yeah.
That's the issue I've always got when you've got such a powerful character.
People.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But where do you go with a character like that? Once you've ran out of villains, I mean, who can take him on? Lex Luthor, to an extent. Maybe, I mean, what was it, General Zod? Is that your
Zod,
man?
Yeah.
Once you've ran out of these kind of Batman with maybe souped up in like Dawn of Justice, there's a really small number of characters that can go toe-to-toe with Superman. So I feel like there's always a really short shelf life with a character in terms of individual storytelling.
I think Marvel have got the same issue with Captain Marvel. It's just, where do you go? They've got to have I mean, I know they've got weaknesses and stuff like that, but how many times can you tell that story?
Exactly.
How many times can you use kryptonite to bring Superman down?
And it becomes like a fucking EastEnders episode, where it's like the same old shit. You just keep rehashing the same thing. It's really difficult to get that balance right. So
So I don't mind what James Gunn's doing, as long as it hits the ground running, as long as it's coherent, and there is a bigger picture. Because you talked about that scene, John, and I think that kind of hints to me it's near the end of the film, the whole snow scene that he's lying.
Somebody said there's a sort of a print or something, or a footprint or a fist or something.
I thought you said a prick.
No. We don't get near those kind of words, Stephen, when we're doing live shows after that crock of gold incident and snorting the coke. But I went down a rabbit hole. I'm still mentally fucking traumatised from that, and that was about 5 years ago. I was much chubbier, much more novice at doing live stuff back then. We don't make those kind of mistakes now, and if we do, we just laugh it off and move on. That mentally broke me for about 5 minutes, that. So no, I didn't. I mean, Steve, I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for a Superman movie. I don't have any issues with David Corenswet. I watched a podcast with him recently. I think he's good friends with somebody and he helped him start up a podcast and whatnot. So he seems like a decent guy. There's always going to be a degree of bitterness for how Henry Cavill got treated, because I really do like Henry as a human being. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a reasonable actor. He's not fucking like second coming of Daniel Day-Lewis by any means. But for that character, he seemed to fit well, and he never got the chance to see out his potential. And I genuinely do think he could have been up there with Christopher Reeve. But like you say, politics, interference, tragedy on a personal note with Zack Snyder losing his daughter, cut it all short. And you're never going to. There's always going to be that sort of bitterness from the Snyder side of things, the fans, because they have had something ripped out of their grasp that they were obviously supportive of and wanted, i.e. his universe.
And we're looking forward to it. On a serious note, I understand that, John. We had that with the Luke Skywalker character after Return of the Jedi. The potential of what could have been, and it was ripped away from us by studios. And I can understand that, what could have been, but I think the most important thing is that Henry Cavill, as a person, has moved on from it. Ben Affleck's very similar. They're very supportive, actually, of upcoming projects. They've commented, and I think Zack Snyder's actually commented as well.
I jested about Zack. I jested about that sci-fi film, but I mean, in the main, I do like the guy. I think he's a brilliant director. He's got his own unique style, and I've liked the vast majority of his films, so I wish him nothing but the best moving forward. I was going to mention Star Wars anyway, because I was watching Star Wars Theory last night. You mentioned Luke Skywalker. He does a stream where there's two other ones, maybe Death Star or something. I think Stupendous Wave is the other guy. So it's two channels, big Star Wars channels. He does a podcast with him every week. And they were discussing, look, when you mentioned that, it became sort of my head went off, an imaginary bell. And they're still bitter, talking about bitterness and fandom, not getting over things. They're still bitter about Luke Skywalker, and I was listening to them and I'm like, you know what, I agree with everything you're saying there. It was a fucking disgrace, the way they handled, and I will never let that go. So in a way, I'm being a hypocrite saying in the thumbnail, we'll never let it go. I'll never let what they did to Luke Skywalker go with Star Wars, and that's a character that's much closer to my heart than Superman.
The question, John. It doesn't mean you agree with the question.
No. But no, it was a fucking disgrace, in short, what they did with Star Wars. We've done that to the death, though. Stephen, what is your thoughts on this Beatles thing? This is the next thing we're going to discuss. Just as an aside to that, though, I mean, we were going to discuss another topic, but then you gave me a response to
Just the Globes?
No. Prestigious BAFTA Fellowship Award being gave out. I was going to discuss that and maybe take that more serious, but then your response kind of cut it short. If you pardon the pun. But no, look, fair play to fucking Warwick Davis, man. That guy's what he's done with his career is an actual...
I like Warwick Davis. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got a good personality and he's got great sense of humour as well. And his life story, John, is some might say it's been in the right place at the right time, but if you ever watch any of the interviews with anyone that's worked with him, they will say the likes of Val Kilmer on Willow. Says he was fantastic as a person on set, and just in terms of very young as well. We've got to remember that. I think he was only 12 when he did Return of the Jedi. I know,
crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
We didn't see him. Obviously, he was in the Ewok suit, but he managed to do something that no one picked up on for Return of the Jedi with Wicket, and that was imitate his dog and its sort of persona, tilting the head when it's confused, what Harley does. And
it's never confusion with Harley, though. It's very much a response to you want to go out for a walk, you want a treat.
And he's kind of popped in and out of the whole Star Wars thing, hasn't he? He was in Phantom Menace at the pod race. He was just in the sort of outskirts watching the pod racing. And
also Harry Potter as well.
Harry Potter, and also
Flitwick and
Life's Too Short thing with Ricky Gervais. which was fantastic. I loved that series.
No, listen, I tip my hat to him. He's had some career, not just as an actor, but as a sort of master of ceremonies at cons and whatnot, conventions. He's a great speaker, very charismatic guy. And look, fair play to him. I'm not going to be a hypocrite though, beware saying that, look, I mean, he's been gave, and I understand it's for his entire career as an actor, TV presenter. I mean, he's had some big roles, but I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say he's like the greatest actor of all time. That I was slightly questioning the sort of award for the acting side of things, because
is this the kind of award that like Sir Ian McKellen would get, kind of thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's just celebrating his career, really. But
fellowship, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, you think of that award, you think of Ian McKellen, you think of like Patrick Stewart, you think of guys like that. My mind doesn't immediately go to Warwick Davis, but look, I'm not hating on the guy. No reason to. He's a cool dude. He's had a distinguished career, so fair play. I thought we'd touch on that. Stephen, this Beatles biopic though. I don't know about this, man. I don't know. I don't know that I'm having this, Stephen. Obviously, I don't know the actual gist of what it was you sent over. I don't know. Was it this one here?
Sam Mendes is committed to this project, John, which they're calling a Beatles universe.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's going to be 4 separate films. John, Paul, George, and Ringo having 4 separate films, and I think, from what I gather, it's going to be sort of interlinked. You might see sort of crossovers and stuff like that. I was going to say that, because they're saying it's a universe, so at some point they're going to have to meet. They are the Beatles after all, and what happens after that, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how it's going to be constructed either, whether or not they're just going to do the whole biopic from start to finish for John Lennon, 1940 to 1980.
Well, this is what I was thinking,
maybe not really too much Beatles stuff, enough, but not too much. And then perhaps maybe the 5th film will be like the Avengers, the Beatles.
Where they all come together.
And you see from different perspectives, perhaps.
Yeah.
In the other films, the Beatle moments, but that all fits into place. I don't know.
That's exactly what I had in my mind when you mentioned different films filmed from their perspective. Would it be like the Avengers, like, say Endgame, where they go back into the past and you're seeing it from their perspective, but you're seeing things that you picked up in the original movies, and you're like, oh, that's when that happened, and they're watching that.
Yeah.
It can almost be like you follow Ringo, and then a certain moment happens, and we've already covered that in the Lennon movie or whatever, and you're seeing it from Ringo's perspective. Then that would be fucking cool, because I always love that shit. I love that in Back to the Future, where they recreated the scene from a different perspective. That type of stuff would be really interesting. I think that'd be a lot of hassle though, and I can't see them doing that kind of thing. I see it being more painted by numbers.
I like interpretation, and if it's constructed well enough. There was an episode of Life on Mars, Philip Glenister and John Sim, where they were interrogating this young lad, and we got 2 versions of events. He was accused of murder and all this kind of thing, and then we saw it from a different perspective, and the lad that played the boy who's been accused portrayed him differently because it was getting told from a different sort of perspective from a different person, and it was excellent. So it could work definitely with these four figureheads.
I'll tell you what, you can't ask for a better director than Sam Mendes to do it.
Exactly,
I'm right in saying he did 1917? I always butcher the name of it.
1917.
One shot.
American Beauty. He did 2 of the Bond films, I think.
Yeah, he did do Bond.
Road to Perdition. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Is that the... Is that Tom Hanks? Am I right in saying that?
Tom Hanks,
yeah. It's a fantastic... But it was more 1917 in terms of technical.
That was the other one he did. Yeah.
What?
Technically, he's a fantastic movie maker, John, filmmaker. Yeah. American Beauty is still an amazing film.
It's incredible. We had
26 years old, and it's still... If it's on TV, I'll pick it up, I'll watch it, because it's just a greatly constructed film, from a technical aspect, and just the aesthetics and all that. So I think they've got the right man for the job. We talked about this project, John, I think maybe a few months ago in one of our news shows, and I did say I'm not interested in that. I'll probably maintain that at the moment, because I don't really feel the need that I'm going to learn anything new. But my curiosity is obviously what we're talking about, how it's going to be constructed and how it's going to be portrayed.
There's always a concern, Stephen.
I would be interested in.
There's also the concern as well with Beatles-related sort of media post the death of George Harrison in particular. The continuing influence of Paul McCartney. Like, I love Paul McCartney. Not as much as John Lennon. I'm not buying fucking print paintings of Paul McCartney. No offence to him, but I love John Lennon because he's my personal favourite. But his influence and the way he's constructing a narrative over the last 10, 15, 20 years or so, that he was involved in things that he clearly wasn't involved in, because we know he wasn't involved in it, because guys who were around back then have already gave their side of events. We've got literal hours and hours and hours of interview footage from Lennon, from Harrison, from Ringo, basically contradicting half the fucking things that Paul McCartney's been saying in the last 10, 15 years, that
I
he
always
helped
say,
write
John,
things.
when you get into these sort of conversations about who wrote what, etc., and all these different experiences, and I said to John about come together, perhaps we maybe should slow it down or we'll get sued, all that nonsense. The time to do all that was during the Beatles anthology. Tell those stories then. Why didn't you tell them then? Is it because George would have said, that's fucking shit? You're talking shit, Paul, you know?
And he would have.
I don't know.
100%.
I don't know. And I've got the utmost respect for Paul McCartney as a musician, as an artist. He's an amazing human being in terms of what he's gave to the world for his whole life.
Stephen, he openly admitted it though. He openly admitted that he did feel jilted at the time. Obviously, he had a conflicted sort of mindset when Lennon was assassinated, because he's a great friend of him, almost like a brother. And he was obviously upset at the loss, but obviously over the years, as time's passed, he became this sort of messiah-like figure. And I do blame Yoko. I don't blame Yoko for everything, but I blame her for the way that she curated that image of him being this sort of pure than anything Jesus-like character. He wasn't. He was a human being who had faults and demons. But Mac has openly admitted that he felt aggrieved at the way that Lennon was presented, that he was the Beatle and the rest were fucking little collie dogs following him around. So I think he is trying to rewrite things.
John, there is certainly a narrative in terms of Paul and the sort of newer generations that are coming into the Beatles for the first time. I watched a video yesterday. It was a music producer that's never heard of the Beatles. He's never heard of it. I'm like, you're not a fucking producer then, mate, if you've never heard the Beatles.
What do you make these Beatles?
And he opened the video up by saying, led by Paul McCartney, and I was like, off. I'm not watching that. Led, maybe the last 2 years of their existence, I don't deny that, but don't say that. They were all equals.
They were, but it was John's band. It was John's band, for fuck's sake. It was the Quarrymen.
John started the band, he ended the band, and he sang the most songs in the band. That's a fact. And also,
you'll have people saying
Paul said in the Peter Jackson documentary as well, you're the boss, and you've always been the boss, and I'm second boss.
Yeah.
So Paul said that. So,
but that, going back to what I was alluding to, I mean, my concern with this is how much influence Paul's going to have in rewriting narratives and making the others out to be lesser than what they were. There has to be an independent sort of creative arbitrator involved here that's making sure that the stories are getting told.
I think Paul knows what he's doing. If you've ever watched the McCartney 1, 2, 3 documentary on Disney. Is
that the black and white one? I've still not seen it.
Yeah. He will drop things in. He'll say, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. You know, and I'm like, it's not necessary to do that. We know what you did, and we know what you didn't do. There's no need for you to do that.
He did enough. He doesn't have to take other people's fucking work. He was incredible. And he is incredible.
He doesn't need a pat on the head, so I don't know why he's looking for one. We know what he did.
I mean, I love Macca. I really do. I've been watching interviews with him and just discussing the way that he goes about music. This like 30, 40-year-old interviews. How he didn't read and learn music, how to write and read music in a professional sense, because he was scared it would change the way he approached music and making songs and melodies. The guy's a genius. There's no doubt about it. What he gave to the Beatles and to music and to the world.
And in terms of his vocal range, I think out of the four of them, he had the most range.
It was incredible.
From high to low. An incredible voice.
But my concern is that he's rewriting history. That's what my concern is. But with this, Stephen, I don't know. I'll go into it with an open mind. Obviously, casting. I mean, there's news on casting. I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I don't know if you've seen it. Barry Keoghan playing Ringo Starr. doesn't
Yeah,
look anything
yeah,
like
I've
him, but I
seen that.
suppose it could work, and he's such a talented actor that you'd be hard pushed to say no to that. And he's in a sort of stage of his career right now where he's clearly in an upward trajectory, apart from splitting up with Sabrina Carpenter. That was a mistake on his part, but we don't know what happened there, so we'll not be too harsh on him. Paul Mescal, another guy that's on the upward,
Oh yeah,
playing Paul. Now that
yeah,
definitely works, but the same
yeah.
size. I mean, I suppose Keegan's about the same size as Ringo as well, but Paul and Paul Mescal and Macca, in terms of looks, there's a resemblance there. Don't know much about the
And
other
he can
guys,
act. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the other two chaps.
but the guy does look like
But
John
yeah, I mean, the thing is,
a bit.
it's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to things like this. Nowhere Boy was okay. It was good. It was watchable. I think I watched it maybe twice, and since it came out, Backbeat I watched once. It was okay. It was fine. The actual Beatles films, I'm not that too fussed about. Hard Day's Night was good. It was entertaining. Help was just a bit weird, but it was in colour, and then it just kind of
Magical
fell
Mystery
off
Tour,
a cliff. Yeah, just the Magical Mystery Tour makes me ill watching
shoveling
it. It actually
pasta,
does make me feel
slick.
sick. Yeah, it was
I mean,
just weird.
it's not often I don't miss having hair, being a fucking cue ball slaphead, but certainly John with his incredible lock of hair, slicking that hair back like that gave me the absolute heebie-jeebies, as we like to say over here. It looked like some sort of paedophilic, is that even a word? Hispanic guy from a fever dream, shoveling pasta
Yeah, it
into a
was weird.
big
It's just
fat
a weird
woman's mouth.
film. It's very unsettling. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like
think
you,
it's
John.
deliberate.
I'll look at a film from a long time ago, and I'll go onto IMDb to find out who's still alive in it.
Oh,
And
she's dead. That woman's
yeah,
dead. Deader than dead. She's
yeah,
fucking bones and been bones for a long time. No, Stain, I love doing that. And that's a nice little tangent. Well, I'm neither here nor there with the Beatles stuff. I mean, we've seen this story told so many times. They could leave it well alone. But look, if Sam Mendes ultimately wants to go and make these movies, he's an acclaimed director. My concern would be the story, how much they've got going on with it and whatnot. And is there enough to make 4 independent films? The cast and who's going to be involved?
and
Is it going to
also
be
the influence of
exactly?
the Beatles that are still living. What kind of input are they going to have? Because they're not wanting things like we've read in that Fab book. Paul would not allow that line
Oh
that
yeah,
about.
it's not you, it's
Yeah,
me. I'm a
yeah,
CUNT.
yeah. There's
I love
no
that.
way that he would. Yeah,
It-
it was just perfect.
and you know
But
why I love that, Stephen? Because there's a whole subcategory of Beatles fans, specifically in that group that you're talking about, that I'm also in, who think that the sun shines out of Paul's arse and he's never uttered a profanity in his life. He's never made a
yeah,
single misstep. But they'll go in on Lennon for beating women in his life, which I don't think there's actually any proof of at any point. But I think, to be fair, I think Lennon did admit that he'd made mistakes and that he'd also grown as an individual. As I says, no one, the man himself, never proclaimed to be an angel. He had
yeah,
real deep-set problems, lost a lot of people close to him at a young age. It fucking destroyed him nearly. He was on drugs. But they think that Paul is the fucking embodiment of like, an angel, perfection. And it's not Macca that's putting this out there. He's
Oh, it's
never
Paul,
once
no,
tried to say it. He swears he fucking smokes weed like it's going out of fashion, has done for like 50 years.
yeah,
But these people, man, they need to seek help because there's no
yeah,
way. I mean, it's literally fucking in Beatles archives. I'm saying, hey, fuckface, we're body stars, He swears, the man
yeah,
swears.
yeah,
I loved that aspect of that book, the fact that it humanised Paul. He's seen that
yeah.
side to him, that he was getting out and about, hooring and turning it, and he would dump people
And you
in
saw his
Buck Trotty.
insecurities as well. You saw his insecurities through the Get Back documentary. That there was a couple of awkward moments where he was trying to laugh and joke with Yoko, and she wasn't having it. He was just dead bad, and he felt quite awkward about it. You could see it in his face and his body language. He just didn't want to be in the same room.
And the Lennon one as well,
it's-
Stephen. That Lennon book that
Yeah.
you gave me that I read, that it told some really intimate things that happened with Lennon. And well, I'm all for it. I like to see the humanising of these sort of larger than life figures. So I'm not averse to it. I want them to go right in. That was my big issues with Bohemian Rhapsody and what was the other one? Fucking
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Maybe Rocket Man to a
Yeah.
lesser extent, because that was a sort of fantastical musical thing where
Yeah.
he was tripping out his fucking mind and then getting into like a stage and singing. But that showed you that even when he was having like overdoses, management were pushing him. Here, back on, you're the sort of cash cow we need you to perform, bitch. Didn't mind that, but Bohemian Rhapsody, they whitewashed Freddie. They whitewashed him. They whitewashed whole aspects of his personal
That's
life.
what they're going to do, though. This is the thing that concerns me. Not perhaps maybe with a complete unknown. I think that's going to be handled quite well because I think it's documented sort of the way it's sort of played out with well-known facts and figures throughout that period in Dylan's life. And we're going to get the music, so I don't mind it in that sense. And I will look at it from a more technical point of view, similar to what I did with Elvis. I know Elvis's story out, inside out, but I was really wanting to see is it Baz Luhrmann was the director? And obviously Austin Butler's performance. I wanted to see that, and that's what I'll be doing with A Complete Unknown. I'll be getting into it like that. So that's what I'm trying to say about these 4 individual films. I will watch them. I will go into it like that. I'm not going into learn anything I didn't already know. I've read probably over 100 Beatles books, unofficial, of course. There's not, apart from the Beatles anthology and the Hunter Davies one. I think you had, John.
Yeah.
The other ones that you can take with a pinch of salt. But I know most of the stories. I know most of the what would you say, the myths. And all that kind of thing, and we've watched endless documentaries in the band as well, so there's not much to give in terms of anything shocking or anything that's going to be brand new information.
No.
So we'll begin into it just to see how these guys perform, how it's directed and how it looks and how it's going to fit constructively.
I would like to see what, fucking Mal Evans or something.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh God, I'm blanking his name now. Terrible. I always blanking. Is it Derek Taylor? I always want to call him fucking Derek Taylor.
Yeah, Derek Taylor, yeah. The press officer, yeah. And then Neil, yeah. I like Neil Aspinall. I thought he was a cool guy.
He was one of the most important guys in that sort of Beatles entourage because he kept track of everything, all the details, and he helped put together the Beatles anthology. The guy was so important. And that's what I love about the Beatles. That I feel was missing, and it's what elevates them to being the band they were and remain in pop culture to this day.
Yeah.
I like the Rolling Stones. I don't feel they had side players like Neil Aspinall and Derek Taylor and Mal Evans, these guys that grounded them, who were there from the very beginning to keep them in check. I don't feel they had guys like that. I may be wrong. I don't recall.
I think it's just probably the focus probably wasn't on them as much. I think it's just because, I don't know, maybe the personalities were just different in that band. Your focus was on Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, and then Brian and Charlie and the bassist, can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
Bill, yeah. So
you don't want the focus to be on Bill.
Personalities. I just think in terms of the way things were documented with the Beatles, it was a lot better. They documented things a lot better than the Stones did. They had the right people to do that,
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. Look, time will tell, ultimately. But Steve, I'm going to go into that little brief tangent that you mentioned because it's something I do like to partake in all the time when I'm watching really old films. Viking, I think it was, with Kirk Douglas. I watched that just before the death of Kirk Douglas. I can't remember the name of that fucking film. Was it Vikings? Kirk Douglas. And I remember watching it vividly, like it was yesterday. When did Kirk Douglas die? He died, 2019? 2020?
5 years ago, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it was just before my birthday in 2020, so it would have been late 2019.
Yeah, just before the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, fucking God, the dark days where we lost 3 years. It's like, what happened? Now I'm 35. It's like, fucking hell, I was 29. I blink and I'm mid-30s. It's like, fucking hell. It's like that Lemmy sketch where you wake up, it's like, fuck, what happened? 5 years are gone. It's like, fuck, nearly 40. Jesus Christ. But I remember watching it late 2019 and going through the cast and thinking, fucking hell, he's dead. He's dead, she's dead. Dead. Kirk Douglas still alive. Guy was like 105 or something. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, wasn't it?
There was only one other person, I think, the whole film who was still alive, and they were a baby in the film. I'm like, even the fucking dogs are dead in this. Everything's dead. That's something I really do enjoy. I don't know if that's a mental illness or whether other people like doing that. I don't know if we've got anybody in it can maybe comment whether they like doing that as well. Watching really old films and going through the cast, actor by actor, and seeing are they still alive? Just how long ago did they die?
Yeah.
Some of them
Wizard
died
of
in like the
Oz is the one,
70s.
isn't it? Sort of the benchmark, the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, for fuck, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
39? I don't know, I can't remember.
There's people in
41
that
or
film
something
that
like
were born
Yeah.
before the turn of, the 20th century. They were
Yeah.
born in the 19th century. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's like that old fucking guy that was in the Civil War who was interviewed, and it's like 5 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. You've got people crossing paths with these fucking human beings who were alive when there was no technology whatsoever. It was like primitive oil lanterns and shit like that, and really no toilets or flushing or anything. It was like these people existed then, and here's this guy on the camera getting interviewed in the modern world, whatever the fuck that is, in 1940 or something. Crazy. I'm fascinated by that shit. I don't know what else you want to talk about, Stephen. We've got obviously the Globes, but I've not seen half the films, so I mean it'd be a complete waste of time.
This is when you've got to get Gianni on.
Yeah. Well, we know that Gianni did his sort of tier list into his movies. I don't know
He's
if
top 10 of last year, yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did the Brutalist go on it?
Yeah.
Because I know he recommended the Brutalist and we reacted to it.
That's right, yeah. I forgot about that.
Also, that won
Gianni
Best
that
Motion
was-
Picture
Yeah.
for drama, which does, it looks amazing. I mean, Adrian Brody's unbelievable. What can you
Well,
say
you talked about
that?
Daniel Day-Lewis, and I said there's no one comes closer. Perhaps maybe Adrian Brody is the
yeah.
closest you'll get
I
to
mean,
a Daniel
I
Day-Lewis.
fucking love a guy, honestly. I always get taken back to also The Pianist, but
Pianist, yeah.
But then Peaky Blinders, he was playing an Italian mobster, and there's a scene in
Did he not
particular.
he did one of those Predator films, didn't he, as well?
He might have done.
I think I think it was him. It was a weird choice for him anyway.
He's just such a cool. He's a really unique looking guy. There's just something about his face, just the way he looks. He's just a
He
cool
looks like
guy.
I don't know if you ever remember the impressionist Alistair McGowan.
Yeah, he does look like him. Yeah,
He looks. I was convinced it was him for a long time before I knew who Adrian Brody was. I went, "What's Alistair McGowan doing in feature films? He's not that good at acting."
No.
He's good at impersonating, but
No,
he's
he's
not
not.
good at acting.
I'm just looking at the animated. I don't know, man. I think animation. I mean, Inside Out 2 didn't even win. I mean, it was one of the best received fucking animated movies, top grossing animated movies of all time. Flo won. It's like a little black cat. I don't know. I mean, we could be here all day. I mean, I love this time of the year for discovering these films, if I've not discovered them already, and just the actor and directors round table and getting to see and pick the brains of these creative people and what the process is, where they've came from in life, what drives them. I love watching all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some absolute corkers over the years, like Viggo Mortensen and, I don't know, off the top of my head, Mahershala Ali, guys like that, sharing a room, Richard E. Grant, and it's just it's a smorgasbord of different people who you wouldn't envisage sharing a room together, sitting together and picking each other's brains. I love this time of the year. It's great if you're a film fan. Not so great for us though, because we've not seen fucking half the films. So there's that as well. As ever, we've let our standards slip over the years.
You know, people are probably wondering why we're talking about Superman and the trailer and all that. People who obviously follow the channel will realise that, you know, the Superman trailer was the last thing we did before Christmas, and then we've not done anything really since.
No.
Obviously, with your work commitments, my work commitments, and that kind of thing. Obviously, losing the studio was a big part of it as well. Because I know that I've had some comments in terms of, I noticed the channel's kind of wound down a little bit. I hope you aren't giving up on it, that kind of thing. And it's not that at all. I mean, we'd do this every day, all day, every day if we could. It's just really, it's a hard time of year for particularly yourself, John, just to get the time to do things. And
I'm not giving
talk
up this
about
channel.
films from the Golden Globes. It's finding the time to watch these films as well, because we want to do more watch-alongs as well on the channel. We want to do some out of theatre stuff as well. We're just talking about A Complete Unknown, which comes out a week today, and we'll certainly be watching that.
Whether
or not, we'll be doing anything out of theatre.
These mics allow that opportunity to go out, connect it to a
phone
or whatever, and you're cooking, you can do a little video. So certainly will. I mean, when Shalomie brings a movie out, you're there. When it's Bob Dylan and it's a biopic, you're double there.
That's it.
When it's an Oscar baiting really deep dive, hopefully, and he's actually performing and singing, then you're triple there. I don't know where I'm going with this. Will I go for a quadruple there? I won't. I can't think of anything else to really discuss. The fucking fires in LA, what the fuck's that about? That's crazy. Absolutely
I
mental.
know.
I mean, it's like something out of a horror film. I've
It's,
seen a
it's
video
something
of
that's
two
becoming
guys
more
with a
regular
dog.
as well.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
Terrible,
mean, it's
man.
not a new thing or anything like that. These things have happened since the time began, but it just
Yeah.
seems to. I don't know if it's just more coverage, just with obviously media, but
It's
it
the,
just seems to be happening every 6 months now.
it's the nature of California as well, sadly. It's a really dry
Yeah.
place, and it's really, literally dry. The weather's dry, and the actual ground is dry, and the houses over there, sadly, are not like they are here. They're not bricks
No.
and mortar in the main. They're pretty fucking shitly made wood houses. That's why when tornadoes hit and stuff like that, they just get fucking dismantled. So, and I'm talking about multi-million-dollar houses here. I mean, my first thought when I read the Palisades had been gutted was, fucking hell, that's people lost all their houses. That's shocking. But then my second thought was Childish Gambino, sweatpants, get a glass house in the Palisades. I'll not go for the next bit because he's talking about white hoods and whatnot and singing about stuff that gets really quick. And I can sing it, I can keep up with it, but I don't want to be doing it in front of a camera. But my thought was Childish Gambino singing about the Palisades. So I'm like, fucking
No,
hell.
I've got to say, John, considering we've not done a live show since last year,
Yeah.
and this is our first show we've done remotely, I think it's went okay. It's went swimmingly well, as I say.
Stephen, I can talk the hind legs off of a dead horse. I love talking. I can't shut the fuck up. Even when I'm in a car on my lonesome, I talk. I have conversations and it's just me in the car. I think people probably look at me and think, look at that mentally ill person, why is he out? He should be in a hospital, sectioned. So I'll always do well.
That whole thing, talking to yourself in the car or talking to yourself in the street isn't as abnormal anymore, isn't it? Not just because people just assume you're on Bluetooth or something.
I'm not though. I'm just fucking mental. But no, I think it's went well, Stephen. Look, the channel's not going anywhere. I seen that comment as well. I laughed at it. I was out walking the dog. I'm like, we're not going anywhere, mate. You clearly don't know us. We have peaks and troughs, but we'll be back. We'll be back with a bang, as a certain little gimpish commentator famously said, and from around these parts, we'll be getting into watch-alongs and whatnot, I'm sure, shortly. Like it's a Patal Lock and Squid Game and whatnot. We'll be back with a bang. And I'll start doing solo streams as well, because I've now got a setup where I can just plant my arse down. 2 clicks, I've got the lights on and I'm there.
Fine.
Intro was a car crash, Stephen. Absolute horror. Need to work on that. You're the intro man. I can't do intros. I'm technically the outro man, but then if you watch some of those reaction videos we recorded last night, you'll see that maybe I'm not the outro man either. Fucking stuttering over my words and terrible, honestly, terrible. But look, I digress. Let's go round it up. That is going round it up. What was your thoughts on the topics we discussed? Superman, Zack Snyder, the fans hating on it, calling David Cornsvet Superman, Diaper Man. What a shite part of that is. Wouldn't last 2 minutes over here. Fuck, what's it there? Diaper. I'll fucking make you wear a diaper, you clown. What's your thoughts on that? Thoughts on the trailer eviscerating Man of Steel's record in just under a month? Thoughts on the Beatles biopics, 4 independent movies, Sam Mendes, like Barry Keoghan, Paul Mescal getting cast. Are you up for it? Looking forward to it? Thoughts on anything else we discussed? Put it down below in the comment section if you've got anything to say. Thank you to Sin for coming in and commenting. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes. And all that's left to be said is until the next time. And by the way, Twitch as well, follow notifications button over there to see us live on that platform. Until the next time though, thank you for watching us and bye bye.